Welcome, everyone, to Coffee with the Kingpins. I am very, very happy to have my dear friend and a renowned tarot uh, reader with me, Miss Marcia Bender. Welcome, Marcia. How are
Hi,
you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, good, good. Well, thank you for joining me today. And we have spoken before, we've done a couple of interviews, but I was really interested if you would be kind enough and get into the deeper connections of the card. What are the symbologies of the tarot cards? Which of the tarot cards are more important? If you could step by step take the viewers through um, that, please.
That's a wonderful question, and it's only really asked by very advanced spiritual beings such as yourself. Most people are really very interested just in their regular, is the house going to sell this year? Is my illness going to be cured? Am I going to get proposed to? And the only reason that the spirit guides answer our regular everyday questions is to take us to higher levels of spirituality. The tarot, the symbology of the tarot is so big, we could do 2 hours on each card. And you asked, are some cards more important? Yes, the major arcana.
Mhm.
In the tarot, there are 78 cards, and only 22 of them are major arcana. And the other ones are just everyday life situations.
Right.
So when you told me that you thought you would like to get involved more in symbolism, I thought I would take in this session, and if people want more, we'll do more, four of the major arcana that represent people, both
Right.
spiritual beings and physical beings, and show the viewers how they combine
Correct.
and the depth of symbology within them on a high spiritual level. And that seems to be what you want me to do.
Yes, please.
Do you want me to get started?
Yes, please.
All right. We are physical beings and we are in a physical body. And when in a physical body, we deal with the five senses, the things that we can see, touch, smell, hear, and taste. We also know, you and I know, and many of the others, that there are many things under the surface that we can't connect with our five senses, but we know they exist. And the tarot is no different. When you look at the major arcana of the tarot, it's pretty much yin and yang, male energy and female energy. How do we combine the male using the mind, the mental, and the female using the intuitions and the emotions? And then we take the spiritual beings, the ultimate male. And by the way, folks, tarot cards aren't this big. This is for teaching purposes. The ultimate male is the magician. And the highest compliment the guides can pay a male is the magician. This male energy has the ability to tap in to higher forces and then make things happen by directing those forces with his power, by using the tools of metaphysics to make things happen. It's a very important gesture,
Right.
and you'll see it in a lot of the tarot cards, the hand pointed up. You see it a lot you can see it if it's Easter Sunday. You can see it with the Pope when the Pope is riding in the Pope mobile or on the balcony of the basilica, and he holds the hand up, two fingers up, brings them down, and blesses the people. It's the same thing the magician's doing. The Pope is saying, God, give me the high energy. Let me bring it into physical reality and bless the masses. So it's a very, very strong, dominant motion that you're seeing here. But basically, he's saying, I can't do it by myself. And there's that cosmic lemon skate over his head. So he's blessed. He's saying, zap me. I'm going to take that power, just like a lightning rod, bring it down, and make things happen. And he has to do that with his mental abilities. If he gets emotional, if he starts to get too emotional or too much with his intuitions, he blocks it. So, how do we use our intuitions and our emotions? We have to have his counterpart.
Well, the
And
interesting thing is that the magician has the unity symbol above his head.
the symbol for infinities, that
Infinity, I mean.
with no beginning and no end. That just says that the higher, that's the crown chakra
Right,
for all the people you have on talking about chakras. And that's the highest level where the power can come.
right,
But the biggest thing about him is that he's using his mental abilities. He's not getting emotional. He knows he can do it. As long as he has that power, he can make things happen.
right,
But you and I both know that there are other elements of utilizing power. And one of them is the intuitions and the emotions. Guess who comes into the picture now? The highest compliment the guides can pay a female.
right.
There she is, the high priestess, the magician, and the high priestess. The high priestess doesn't use the mental power, she uses the emotional power and the intuitions and the studies, her years and years of studies to make things happen.
Mhm.
There are times when we have to be him. There are times when we have to be her.
Right.
There are times when every female has to use his energy. And there are times when every male has to use her energy. It's a yin and a yang thing. If you look at her, see those pillars behind her?
Right.
There's a white pillar and a black pillar, and there's a black J on the white pillar and a white B on the black pillar. That's the yin and yang again.
Mhm.
That's your symbol for male, female, tying it together, the Buddhist symbol for balance.
Right.
So basically, you're seeing all of this symbology here in the major arcana of the tarot. You notice the symbol for infinity on the
Right.
magician. Let's
Mhm.
put her down for a minute. There is so much symbolism here, other than what I said about his hand going up to higher forces. If you look at his table, you see a cup, and the cup represents love and emotions. Remember, we're human. There are four levels of human existence. So the cup represents the emotional level. You'll see a pentacle, looks like a coin. That represents the physical material
Mhm.
level. You'll see a sword if you look closely. That represents the mental level. And then the wand that he's holding up, which represents the spiritual level. He has to use all of these tools in order to achieve what he needs to achieve.
Right.
Down here, you see red roses and white lilies. It's all balance in the tarot. The red roses are material things, my desires, my wants, my needs. The white lilies are blending with the spiritual. You can't just have one dimension to your character. You always want to blend the
Mhm.
spiritual with the physical,
Right.
which is going to bring us to something very important in a minute. You noticed his lemon skate, the symbol of that with no beginning and no end. If you look closely at his belt, it's a snake swallowing its tail.
Mhm.
Same thing, something with no beginning and no end. And then you look at his outfit. White robe, white for purity, red robe for carnal desire, just like with the flowers. So you can go on, same thing up here. You can go on and on just looking at symbolism.
Right.
But what this card tells us is if we use his power, we can achieve anything that we need to achieve. And he has complete confidence in his ability,
Right.
but he cannot do it without her.
Right.
And one thing that the tarot teaches is how powerful and important the female is. And
Right.
we're going to go on to that in a minute.
Mhm.
But we have spiritual here. We have two spiritual beings beyond the physical. These are way up above us. He represents the male, the ultimate spiritual male, and she represents the ultimate spiritual female. What about us? Well,
It's
The,
coming.
it's coming. The beauty of this. All right, I'm going to set him down for a minute.
Yeah.
The beauty of this, if you notice her dress, of course, she's on a moon, and moon is for psychic and female. If
Mhm.
you notice her dress becomes water, can you see that turning into water?
Right.
Water is emotional and the spiritual. There's this little gal that's coming up now, and she has a stream behind her. I got to try to position it. And that water from the high priestess is flowing right down into the stream. Do you see it?
Right.
Guess what? This is us.
Right.
This is the physical material female.
The Empress. Would you
She's,
call her the divine female?
I call her the Empress, and she's pregnant, in case you didn't know it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. High Priestess is the virgin daughter of the moon. She's not going to have babies. Somebody has to keep things going. It's
Right.
her. This is mom. She is the example in the major arcana of the tarot of the earth female,
Right.
the earth mother. She has a symbol here, the Egyptian symbol for sexuality, male and female. We're right back to yin and yang again, because we're going to see dad in a little bit too. Right now, we're seeing mom. She represents in our readings, yay, good luck and good fortune. And I wrote a book and it's going to get published. And I have an album that's going to get put out on the airways. Somebody loves me. Someone thinks I'm a goddess. I am the most beautiful, wonderful work of art that ever lived. I'm passion. The only time we don't want to see her is if we don't want to be pregnant. And
Mhm.
because she's pregnant. And a lot of my clients want to be pregnant. And when I see her, I say, well, baby's coming. So there you have it. So we have all of this element of beauty and passion, and she's us. Now, there are times, especially somebody like you, my dear, when men look at you and they see the ultimate woman and they say, she's way out of my league. If they see you this way, they're saying, yeah, it's attainable. Okay. She is the ultimate female, but she scares men a little bit because she's just so powerful. Then we have this wonderful, joyful, look at me, passionate and healthy. You know, I'm in Sarasota, Florida, and I've taken some liberties over the years, over the last 50 years with the tarot. And every time a hurricane heads our way, my phone does not stop ringing. Terror and panic.
Mhm.
So I thought I have to teach my students how they can do this for themselves. So I talked to the guides and I said, if I use the Empress as good weather, can I do that if it's a question about a hurricane? And they said yes. So now I teach it, besides all those other wonderful things. This is good weather. This is bad weather or inclement weather. We're going to talk about the reversals in a minute, but we're not there yet.
Right.
So she represents everything wonderful, and she's us because we are not. We can be the high priestess. I like to think I'm the high priestess. I've been working with this knowledge for years, but this is really who I am because I'm in a physical body, and so is she.
Mhm.
Well, it's yin and yang, dear.
So we
We
have to bring the
we
Empress.
have to bring dad, and here comes dad. Okay, now dad rules everything except her. I want you to look very carefully. I'm going to close my face off. Look at his eyes.
Mhm.
What are his eyes doing?
You're going actually to the Queen.
They are going right to her. Okay.
Yeah.
Guess what she's doing? Ignoring him totally.
Right.
I don't know why we've gone real high away from the cards. I want you to see that he's looking at her and she's ignoring him.
Right.
Now, he rules everything except her. And it's very, very important that that's the symbology of the tarot.
Right.
He commands life and death. He's the king. He's the president. He's the head of state.
Right.
He's your doctor when he's on a good day. He's your lawyer. He's your judge in a court case.
Right.
He is the boss. He is the Lord and Master, except over her. And it's really important to look at that body language as he leans. I don't know why I'm going way up. The video is going way up. He leans toward her, and his eyes are directly on her.
Right.
So very important as we talk a little bit about dad.
Right.
He's not near as colorful as she is. He
Mm.
gets a little boring sometimes. He's very, it's my way or the highway.
Right.
That doesn't make him bad until later when I turn him upside down. But right now he's not. He's good. So basically we have the decision maker. And one of the things that I talk about with the emperor when I teach this is I tell the story of King Solomon in the Old Testament. Back in that day, the king was the one who made all the decisions, the decisions of life and death.
Right.
If you had a cow and I had a cow, and and I said it was my cow and you said it was your cow, King Solomon would decide who owned the cow,
Right.
basically. All right. So the story goes, the legend goes that one day two women came to see King Solomon, the wise King Solomon, and there was one baby. And King Solomon said, "What can I do for you?" And the one woman said, "That baby is mine." And the other woman said, "No, that baby is mine. Not a cow, a baby." So he says, "Leave the baby with me and come back tomorrow." So they came back tomorrow, and he said, "I have reached a decision. I'm going to cut the baby in half, and I'm going to give you one half of the baby and you one half of the baby." And the woman said, "No, give the baby to her." And he said, "You are the rightful mother." So King Solomon can make all these great big huge decisions, and so can the emperor on a good day. All right. So this is mom, and this is dad. So here's where
And
we
you
are.
would say that these cars are both very auspicious, and especially like, for example, when you're doing a love reading, it basically means that you have yin and yang together.
Well, in a love reading, you may be feeling unloved,
Hmm.
but he thinks you're a goddess,
Right.
unless he's upside down.
Right.
Now, again, we're talking about symbolism, and you're asking great questions about how they come up in a reading.
Right.
The fact also means that you may be lonely, and I get this. I say, love is coming.
Hmm.
Something's coming. Something's coming into your life. I also could tell you that you're pregnant.
Right.
So, I'll never forget. I mean, I've got so many years of this.
That's not
I had
possible.
I had a student, right? But you're still a goddess. I had a student whose mother owned a restaurant, a wonderful Mexican restaurant here back in the 90s, and she was my client, the mother. The daughter later became my client. And I was doing a reading for her, and she was asking about her daughter. And I got this. And I got a couple other cards, minor cards, everyday life cards that showed pregnancy. I said, "I see a baby." The next time I went to the restaurant, the daughter stomped up to the table. "I do not appreciate your telling my mother that I was pregnant before I told her." I said, "It's not my fault." Later, the daughter became my student as well. But that's it. I mean, she's pregnant. So if you're asking about a baby, now if you're asking about your health,
Right.
she's good health
Right.
when she's in the positive. So
So
what we
let's
have,
go to the next important cards.
well, we're only doing these four today because I've got a long way to go. I'm only prepared to talk about them, and I could do each one for an hour or two. So now let's review, because I'm a teacher, I'm a school teacher. So we have the ultimate male and the ultimate female on the spiritual level.
Right.
And we have the ultimate female and the ultimate male on the everyday level, on the earthly plane. They
Right.
mean many, many things. We just started talking about pregnancy and selling a book and the whole thing. But we're just looking now at the symbols uh, on and how we can use the symbolism to really take ourselves to higher levels of consciousness, not just asking questions like, is the house going to sell?
Right.
So now I was going to go further with this. You seem to be throwing me a curveball now, kid. Did you want me to like try to do like really
No,
just
I just feel that, the viewer's span of focus is not that. So I just wanted to kind of cover many different significators. So we
now
will so
a significator is a card that represents you,
right,
people. And there are cards in the tarot, not in the major arcana, but cards that represent people, you and the people in your life.
right.
Now, if you want to jump around and go there, we can go right there.
Well,
Uh,
actually, since you were talking about pregnancy, what other card in tarot represents pregnancy?
about 10. The Ace of
Oh,
Cups is birth, the Ace of Wands is birth, the Ace of Pentacles is birth, the Ace of, I mean, among other things, the Ace of Cups is birth, and there are many kinds of birth. Birth of love,
you
birth of good health.
Right. Would you also consider the Queen of Cups being somewhat
You know,
close to
you're
the Empress or
you're going into an interesting thing,
uh-huh.
which I think I'm going to go with,
Okay.
okay? Because it's intriguing. I was really, kind of hell bent on really covering some depth on major arcana, and there are 22, and we don't have time for 22. If they want
Right.
more, we'll do more.
Yeah.
And I was going to go into great depth. But you brought something up. You used a term, and you used a term. I don't know why I feel like I'm shrinking in my chair. I'm looking at my there. Maybe that's better. I don't know. I'm way down. I see all my students behind me.
Yeah.
People are seeing that wall full of students and what Marcia used to look like back in the day with dark hair. And I'm not seeing much of me. I'm seeing little tiny me. And I'm not sure
Well,
exactly.
you can move your iPad closer if you
Well,
want
I have it
to
on
yourself.
stack. I am little. I have it
Okay.
stacked on a
But
ton
you
of
look
books.
fine. You look fine.
Yeah. Anyhow, with all my people behind me,
Right.
pediatricians, a lot of them used to put their babies' pictures on the wall.
Right.
Those are my babies.
Okay.
You can't even see the whole wall, but those are people I've taught to read, not my clients. My clients would have the house wallpapered. Those
Right.
are just my students, people that I've taught. At any rate, and then let's talk symbolism. I talked about the old Marcia up at the top with the dark hair. Well, right in the middle of all of those people is the God card of the tarot, the Hermit, the
Right.
card that represents God. I put the big deck. The big deck is in the closet. But if we're going to go here, if we're going to jump around a little bit, it's fine with me.
Yeah.
I'll
So
I'll
let's
jump.
go back to Queen of Cups.
I'm not there yet because now you've taken. I'm looking. People are not seeing much of Marcia. They're seeing a little head, but they're seeing all those people behind me, all those wonderful people that have studied with me over the years, my children. But now, right in the middle is a picture, and this is the God card of the tarot. This is the bearded ancient that holds the light of knowledge and the light. It's a major arcana,
Right.
the light of humanity. And he says, where I am, there you may be. Ask and it shall be given. Seek and you shall find. Guidance and help are available, but the ultimate responsibility is yours. Well, when I see this, I know that I can teach someone, just like the high priestess or the magician. I can't, they pick my higher forces pick my students.
Right.
All those people behind me were handpicked in the last 42 years. So basically, when I see this, I know the person is safe. I know the person is protected. I know that they're going to be okay because to me, this is the most important card in the deck. Not the best card in the deck. The world's the best card in the deck. The sun. This is my personal favorite.
Right. Doesn't that represent the sign Virgo?
Yeah, if you're going to go, it does. If you're going to go into astrology, it's got the Virgo energy. And you think about Virgo, because you're an astrologer, about the private and, and kind of withdrawn and, kind of AC/DC,
Right.
basically. But basically, um, but when I look at the hermit, what I think of, and I'm an old folk singer, remember that. And I look at this because I know the power, and all I can think of is this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, this little light of mine, because it shines everywhere and protects all of us. So in this time of the world, when I go to bed at night, I ask for the white light, the hermit's light of protection and spirituality, not only to surround us, you and me, and my people, but the country and the world, because I believe in the power of the higher forces and
Right.
in the power of spirituality. But you brought something up before, and this was not on my agenda, but I've been doing this for years, and I can talk about anything you want to talk about. You mentioned the Queen of Cups.
Right.
And you said when you looked at you said that's the significator of birth. Are there other cards that are significators? In tarot, the word significator is who are you? You are a physical being, and in tarot, the significator is the personality or the character and the astrology of the seeker, the person seeking. So in the tarot, we have what we call court cards. I call them the royal family.
Right.
We have pages, which represent children, knights, which represent young men or somewhat immature men, depending on whether the emperor is upright or reversed. And then we have pentacles, or we have queens and kings. And queens and kings are usually people, but there are additional meanings to all the court cards. The pages talk about news coming. The knights talk about movement and opportunity, positive or negative, depending on how they come up. And then the kings and queens usually are people, our doctors, our lawyers, our children, our mothers, our fathers, unless we want to have the empress and the emperor. But you're stuck on the Queen of Cups here. She's the water queen.
Hmm.
But when I teach her, we say water is Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, but as an astrologer, there are a lot of other planets hanging around besides where the sun was when you were born.
Hmm.
So you can be a cup personality and be a Sagittarius. So that's basically the element. We can't Court cards are the hardest thing anybody's ever going to learn how to read. I will tell you that. I have it down to a science, but they're difficult.
Hmm.
And we have to realize that with my method of teaching, there are many, many different criteria. But what, let's go. You're on to the Queen of Cups. And I would have had these prepared and out if I knew you were going to do this. I'm looking for her because we're talking to an audience and some of them don't even know what we're talking about.
Hmm.
So there she is. There's our Queen of Cups, and she's just as sweet as she can be. And she's sitting there on her throne, and she's kind of quiet, kind of shy, looking into the cup, which is closed. She's very psychic. But when she comes up in the cards, she might be you, but she also means love. Here we go. This is where you were going.
Hmm.
She shows birth of love. She shows birth of psychic abilities, opportunities coming on the emotional level of the four levels of human existence. And the emotional is water.
Right.
Okay. So tarot there are many layers. And because I have done it for so long, I'm used to lecturing on it. Podcasts were really after my time. They didn't have this when I was one of the forerunners when people didn't really know what metaphysics was. And so I did a lot of lectures at bookstores and at Barnes and Noble, and I wrote for three newspapers. I did a little TV show, but nothing like what we have now with the
Right.
internet and
Right.
with what you're doing.
Right.
So, but basically, it's there. I went into this thinking we were going to talk majors, and major arcana, and yet you've thrown a couple things out that have been fine. Let's do it. Let's look at it. So you want to ask me something? I'm holding a deck of Rider-Waite tarot in my hands.
Right.
I like the big cards, and I wasn't quite done with these four cards, which was was going to be my focus. I'll probably jump back to them eventually, because some of the people watching really do know the tarot,
Right.
and they want to understand.
Well, this is an interview, so I understand that you're a teacher, but I also want to make it interesting for the viewer. So, the Queen of, you see, so I also studied a little bit what is called cardiology.
Exactly.
So, in cardiology, the Queen of Cups also represents the Queen of Hearts, or the
That's correct.
Empress
Totally
would, yes,
100%.
would be the Queen of Hearts. And
Can I
actually, in cardiology, I'm a Queen of Hearts.
can I
But
can I jump in for a minute?
sure, absolutely, yes.
Tarot, regular playing cards, as we know them, are based on the tarot,
Right.
minus the major arcana, minus the big kahunas.
Yeah.
And yes, anyone that can read tarot can read a regular deck of playing cards. And let's do it. You just said it. Cups are hearts in regular playing cards. Pentacles are diamonds in regular playing cards. Swords are spades in regular playing cards, and wands are clubs.
Hmm.
And they're read exactly the same way.
Right.
If you happen to be out without your tarot cards, I've grabbed a deck of playing cards and done a fast reading for somebody. You just miss the big ones. You miss the power of the majors. But
Right.
yeah, regular playing cards as we know them are based on tarot.
Right.
Okay. And people used to play, you know how you play cards? Like you and I can play, we can play 500 rummy, or we can play spades or hearts. People used to use tarot cards
To play
to
games.
play the game. Yes, to play their card games
Hmm.
and so forth. So that's where regular cards come from.
So I have an interesting question, because we're not going to go for very long. And I had a question, and my question is, if I may ask you to look and see if this war in Iran will end in the month of April.
The answer is no. I read, I'm very cautious these days. I read on politics all the time, and my clients and students often ask me what I'm getting. I read almost daily. I could go into something really big now, and I'm not going to, but this war is going to go on for a long time. And
But
I
you
know,
didn't, but you didn't draw any cards for me.
oh, I can't, no,
Okay,
I can
next
tell you,
question.
no, no, I can tell you right now, and I know how dear to your heart this is as well as mine. This is not going to end, and it's not going to end anytime soon, and it's not going to end well.
Mhm.
And that's about as much as I'm going to say about the war or politics on a podcast.
Okay, so you're not going to answer my questions because
Your
that
question
was
is
my.
no, this war is not going to end in the month of April.
So can
Why
I
do you want
ask
me? Now,
you?
hold
Can
on.
I
What do
ask
you want
you
me
a
to do? I'm
question?
not, I
Can
just
I ask you?
answered.
Can I ask you a question to look
Sure.
and see if Reza Pahlavi will go to Iran by May of
I
this year?
can't,
You're not going to do that
for
either.
my protection,
Oh,
and
okay.
people need to understand this. It's very important what you put on the internet,
Okay.
what you say.
I actually did an interview with an astrologer about
Yes.
looking at the chart to see.
I'll tell
Okay,
you what
well,
I'll
what can
do.
I ask you? Can
I'll
I
tell you
ask
what,
you?
no,
Can I
you can't.
ask you when I'm gonna meet the love of my life? Would
No,
you answer
because
that one?
we do that privately. This is a podcast. And I'm, it's not my, I'll tell you what, you can call me as soon as we
No,
hang
I'm
up.
gonna be funny. No, I'm
Let me
trying to be
finish.
funny. Yeah.
This is important.
Yeah.
Now I'm real serious.
Mhm.
When we hang up, if you call me, I will do a reading on that particular individual going to Iran.
Ah.
and I will answer that question or have the guides answer it for you. But
Okay.
I will tell you, because I read on politics every day for my country and all other countries as well, for everybody, because I'm sit around the campfire and sing Kumbaya. That's who I am. Um, I've read on not the war, this particular war. I've been reading for the last many, many years, intently in the last 2 years on politics. And I know what the guides are telling me, and I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to know that we're in big trouble
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to be okay. That's the main thing. When I ask every day, is it going to be done for myself? Are we going to be done with it this year?
Okay.
Will it be changed in 2026? Because numerology, last year was a 9, 2025, now we're in 2026, which is a 1.
Right.
I get the cards I get are temperance. Temperance means calm down,
Hmm.
allow things to take their natural course. You'll get what you need when you need it, not necessarily when you want it.
Right.
And then I get the God card saying you're protected.
Right.
And then I get the devil, which is greed and evil and low level things. And I'm saying that when it's a battle between God and the devil, God's going to win. Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
But the battle has to be fought.
Mhm.
And we are in the world is in serious trouble.
So let's go to a positive note.
Yeah.
What else would you like to share before we say adios?
What would I like to share? Well, I'm not going to read tarot cards online. Although, if I had a client that said that anything you need to know, you
Oh,
and
I just thought it would be really interesting for people to see you in action. But
well, they can see me in action. All they have to do, they just have to call out my name, and
right,
wherever I am, I'll come running. Okay, they can contact me. Seeing me in action, they're seeing me in action, basically doing the thing that I love the most. But there are certain things, this is important, dear. There are certain things I teach my students and I tell my client, I've told you this as my client and my friend. Don't ask a question you don't want the answer to.
hmm,
And don't put a timing on something that you don't want to know. It's going to be way longer than you thought.
right,
So we have to be real careful what we ask about. In the state of the world right now, my clients are all worried about their flights and their travel and their 401ks. And people that work with me won't do anything without me anyway. But the fact is that when I read about them individually, not their next door neighbor.
right.
Are they going to be okay? Is their flight going to be safe? I mean, is their trip going to be safe? It's very, very important that we have to individualize and not be broad as card readers.
Mhm.
Astrologers can take a look at this is planets here and this planet's there, and this is, and I can do that with numerology, but what we're in now it's going to take a long time. And we have to try to be as positive as we can and know that whether we're going to get through it. The thing that I find more intense, and I will talk about this, I think our biggest threat right now to the country and the world is climate change. They're out there right now trying to find an inhabitable planet. They're
Let's not
trying,
go there today.
not, let's not. But that's where we're at
Any
right now.
golden nuggets before we say adios?
Golden nuggets.
Yeah,
Well, I think that's a casino in Las Vegas, the Golden Nugget. Um, I just if you wanted to ask something, oh yeah, I did want to say something. Do I have a few more minutes?
sure.
Tarot readers often make the mistake of thinking that you only read the cards. I'm going to try it with mom in the upright position, but
Hmm.
there are many meanings in the reverse, and I'm going to pick her. I
Right.
was going to work with all of them. So when she comes up this way, and the guides can make the cards fall the way they will, you're not pregnant. When she comes up this way,
Maybe you're incapable of getting pregnant. Yes, go ahead.
when she comes up this way, she's either not happy in her relationship or he doesn't think she's a goddess.
Right.
When she comes up this way, watch out for that hurricane. You better get your flood insurance. When she comes up this way, there may really be a health problem that has
Mm.
to be looked at or dealt with. So, for all positivity, there can also be negativity.
Right.
If he is the ultimate man, if you meet him at a party and he wants your cell phone number, read your cards. He may have a wife and 6 kids in Boise. Okay. Yeah, we like him. God's like him.
Yeah.
No, we don't
Yeah.
think so. We find a manipulative male now. So the very, very most important thing with understanding the symbology of the tarot is everywhere there's positivity, there can also be negativity.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're looking at. And I think this one, well, I think you asked some great, you just threw me a curve. That's all.
I
But
like to do that.
I don't mind
Yeah.
getting thrown a curve because I'm prepared to answer the questions. Just jump into the little deck and pull the cards out. That's all.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you so much. This was very, very comprehensive, I should say, as well as interesting and in depth. Well, we will visit you again for more in-depth conversation. And for everyone, I will be sharing Marcia's contact information if you're interested to get a reading by her. Please like and subscribe. That means a lot to us for our channel. And a comment is desirable. If you could make a comment, we love to hear from you. And if you have any other interesting subjects that you would like me to take upon, I would love to hear from you. Thanks again, and lovely to see you on this Easter Sunday.